Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. How are we all feeling after that fantastic performance against PAOK last night, where we scored 2 goals, battered him, was all over him, and it was an amazing performance, which it definitely wasn't. I want to start off with a bit of a recap, Shreyas, because obviously we didn't speak to you after the game last night. It was me, Sam, and Chive on the post-match review. What are your thoughts and feelings coming out of that? What did you take away from the game? And then we'll dive into the stuff with Luke Shaw and Amads and other bits on Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, first off, it was a good game to miss. I'm glad that I slept and wasn't awake for the whole game. But in hindsight, once again, happy to see Johnny Evans have a good performance. Happy to see Lindelof have a good performance. Very, very happy to see Amad getting goals. Amad actually getting some recognition, and people actually, able to see what he can bring to the table. Because I think after the first 2 to 3 games of the season, when he was dropped, people kind of weren't really able to understand what he really what he's really all about. So maybe now he gets a good set of games to actually start in. Amorim is just around the corner, and if he was watching yesterday's game and he saw with the kind of quality that our wingers possess at the moment, I think even he would know that Ahmad is probably his best bet when it comes to creating off the flanks. So Ahmad had a good performance. I think Casemiro once again had a solid performance as well in midfield. And yeah, apart from that, Dallo was underwhelming once again. I thought the wing Garnacho was, I wouldn't say bad. I think he was average. Hoyland didn't look comfortable at all.
He went great, Hoyland.
Yeah. So it was hit or miss for certain players, but I think 3 to 4 players really stood out. So and once again, getting a first win in Europe, getting a first win in the Europa League this season, we really needed it. Because if we would have dropped points in this game as well, then it would have been big warning signs for a campaign this season.
You can see how much the goal meant to him as well, the way he celebrated with the fans. Obviously, he was a regular in the team at the start of the season. Then he was a bit of a block where he got dropped for quite a few games, which was a lot of people was kind of questioning that one. They were scratching their head, not sure why he's not featuring, and he would consistently go with Garnacho or Rashford or whoever else it was. But the lines that's coming out of from BBC now and a couple of other outlets saying that Amad there's an expectation that he is going to sign a new contract and he wants to make history at Manchester United and he's keen himself to sign a long-term one, which is always nice to hear. Is that the right decision, first and foremost? And should he be a starter in Manchester United right now?
I think right now he definitely should be a starter. Whether it's a good decision for him to stay with a long-term contract, it is still a 50-50 choice, because now that a new manager is coming in, we don't know what's in store for us in the next 2 to 3 seasons. And with this thought that Omar Barada has already put out, that he wants to lift the Premier League by the year 2028, so it's already going to be a lot of pressure for whoever comes in within that time frame to actually be able to progress in the right direction with the right players while getting the best out of them. So I still think under Amorim he'll have a much better time. On the ball, off the ball, as well as being a part of this unit. I think he'll have a much better time under Amorim, because I've seen with the kind of players that he actually chooses when it comes to his wingers, or you could even say when it comes to his wide midfielders, for that matter. So I think Amad will have a lot more usage under Ruben Amorim than what he did under Ten Hag.
Where do you expect him to fit in though? Because at the moment, for me personally, and I think you agree with it, in terms of balance, having Amad on that right-hand side, I feel like it is better rather than just having Rashford and Garnacho, because I think they're very similar profiles, very direct, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to get a shot off. Whereas when you play with Amad Diallo on the right, he'll take it, he'll look to combine, he saw it from his goal as well, works extremely hard off the ball, which used to be a criticism of him, but isn't a criticism anymore. So, in terms of that, a balance, I agree with. I can't remember the original question now. I was going to ask a really good question then, and it's just completely gone out of my head. Yeah, under Amorim's system, apologies. Obviously, at the moment, he's in and out. He's not really got a consistent. But Amorim likes to play with those inside forwards, don't we? And we see where Amad likes to operate in those kind of half spaces. Do you think that's where he'll feature? Because there's even some people talking about a wing back, and I'm like, I don't see it personally, but I don't know.
He could feature off as a wing back or wide midfielder as well, because when you look at the way he actually functions in that team, On the left-hand side, he's got Pedro Gonçalves and he's got Santos, who've been, and it's not really a given as to, who actually plays as a left midfielder, who actually plays as a left winger. They keep interchanging whenever they are on the ball or off the ball. So it is very flexible. And even on the right hand side, I think at the moment they've got Francisco Trincao, who is the out and out
Good
right
player.
winger. But yeah, and he's very tricky. He's not someone. Once again, when you look at him and the way he goes, or even his history, he's not your goal scoring outlet. He's not going to come with 10 to 15 goals a season, but when he is on the field, he's able to, make those short passes. He's able to make that, build. Certain players can lead to a build-up overextending by 5 seconds. He can cut it down by 5 seconds. So maybe Amad features in that role. So there is a lot more usage, and Amad can feature in a lot of positions in this team. Maybe he plays off as a dual 10, as an inside forward. Maybe he features off out wide as a right winger. Maybe he plays off as a wing back or a midfielder. So there's a lot more that can happen. What is his best position going to be under Amorim? I think we'll only get to know once we are 10 games into the season under Amorim, because that's probably when we'll be able to understand what is Amorim's best 11 according to his mindset and the players he's got right now at the club.
I'd love to hear everyone else's opinions on that, by the way. So get it in where you think Amad's going to fit in Ruben Amorim's system. Let's go through it now. If we're to do a team together, we'll speak about Luke Shaw shortly, and the manager in general. But if we to go through a team, the current crop of players that we've got, and let's say he went into that PAOK game and he's got the players available at his disposal that we had, right? Who would go where for you?
I think Onana in net.
Yeah.
Delict, Lissandro, and if Lenny Yoro is fit, then Lenny Yoro
would come into it. Yeah.
Otherwise, I think Maguire or even Evans can do it.
Maguire. Yeah. I was about to say that. Yeah.
I think Maguire is quite comfortable when you put him in that back five, and you need someone, just to ping the ball around, just to try and delay things a little when you're being hit. I think he can do a decent enough job as well. So it opens up a bit more defensive cover for us, because having Maguire part of a back five coming into a game when you're 60 minutes in, or having him in a back four when you're trailing, or just hanging on to a 1-1, puts you in a much different position. So centre backs I'm still quite okay with. I think we've got a decent enough personnel at the moment. And I think when Euro comes in, he's also going to prove very, very important in a back three.
Yeah.
When it comes to that midfield, I think he's going to pick Ugarte, and he's going to pick, at the moment, I'll say he's going to pick Casemiro. I think it'll take some time for Menu to come in.
Do you like that dynamic, the Casemiro Ugarte dynamic? Because I feel like Bruno's freed up quite a lot. I think Rude touched on this in the post-match last night.
I think Bruno's freed up, and I think much more important that Casemiro is a lot more comfortable. Casemiro plays with a lot more freedom, because whenever he's playing with Eriksen, he knows that the moment when he makes that diagonal or vertical pass, and if it is off even by a centimeter and the ball gets lost, he knows that it's going to cause a lot of issues. With Ugarte, he's genuinely got someone who can cover that space within seconds.
Yeah.
So it is a lot more comfortable for Casemiro as well, and I think it works. Ugarte and Casemiro do work well together. Both have that South American flair in them. Both of them are very, very fiery on the pitch, and even when you look at, I'm not going to say just build-up wise, but even defensively, Casemiro's looked a lot better when he's been playing alongside Ugarte. And he's been putting up solid performances for a while now. Like, genuinely, week after week after week, he's been solid for us. So, post that Liverpool game, a lot of people did write him off, that he's probably might even be gone in the January window, but come back in, and he's proved quite
important. Really good. Yeah, I think so.
All credit to Casemiro there, but I think Ugarte and Casemiro would work quite well. I think Ugarte and Menu can work quite well in that pairing as well. And I'm genuinely going to say this, you never know. Maybe you see Collier getting some minutes in there as well, because Amorim loves youngsters.
Loves to work with young players, doesn't it?
Yeah. So maybe you see Collier and Menu being shifted around and given minutes. And surprisingly enough,
sorry to think, just on the midfield, I want to just stick on that for a moment, because I remember doing a video when Ugarte first came in. You'll remember it. I did a video called Casemiro versus Ugarte, and then I said in that video, both of them two together can play. I think it'd be good, because you've seen with Casemiro, one, he's got more legs behind him, hasn't he? Because Ugarte will cover a lot more ground and put fires out. It's not Eriksen next to him who will be more the creative outlet. And two, if you need him to drop in and do the defensive work. He's capable of doing that. But then Casemiro, with his first time passes that we see from him, he is very creative, and he actually picks up quite a few assists for a defensive midfielder. Yeah. So that's why I think it dovetails really well.
Yeah, and right now I think at Sporting they've got Humeland and Braganza playing as that duo in midfield, where Braganza is like a number 10 pretty much, but he plays as a box to box, and Humeland is your destroyer. So you never know. Maybe we see Bruno being played alongside Ugarte in that midfield, and Bruno does that job on a weekly basis for Portugal, playing off in that 3-4-3 as a box to box mid. So maybe Bruno's is accommodated there as the wing backs. I think Mazraoui will be perfect. I think Mazraoui will genuinely be perfect.
Anywhere. Throw him anywhere.
Yeah, and he's a really, really good tactical. I think he's a very tactically sound player. So whatever system you throw him into, he can work. And off as a wing back, which I hope that, when he's being partnered along with, I hope he's partnered along with Amads, because the moment Amads and Mazraoui are on the same flank, it causes a lot of issues, both defensively as well as offensively. So it works quite well. On the left-hand side, I think that's where there are certain issues. I don't think that he's going to be rely on Luke Shaw a lot, and I don't think he'll even be available a lot. I think it's being rumored that Malacia will be back very, very soon.
Yeah, he's in training. Yeah.
This is probably the best time that Malacia will have to actually prove himself, that he can be an option for us. I'm not going to say starter, but just
I think he can do a job there. I think if he's the player that we saw obviously a while back now,
the first season,
I think the wing back could suit him potentially.
Yeah, because look, I still remember him as that very, very aggressive left back, trying to just bomb down the wing. He is very rapid, so I just have to see what version of Malacia we're getting after this injury, because sometimes these injuries, they take a massive toll on a player. So in what capacity he fits into, I think that is yet to be known. Maybe we see Hariamas getting minutes in there as a wing back, because when it comes to his offensive side of things, he's very, very well balanced as an attacking wing back. So Amads could play there. There are shouts for Garnacho being shifted into that position, because Garnacho does a lot of leg work off the ball.
Yeah.
So he can do that job. Maybe you see Anthony being fit there, because I think when it comes to his future in this team, probably that's the only, I would say, outlet left at the moment. When you look at other positions, there is still a lot of saturation. When it comes to a left back or a left wing back, there is still a shortage there.
Do you think he'll buy one in January?
There are shouts for Alvaro Fernandez. There are a lot of shouts for Alvaro Fernandez at the moment. And once again, he's someone who's probably fits in a lot better into this team as a wing back. He does that. He does that job for Benfica. And considering Benfica got him as a replacement for Grimaldo, who's perhaps one of the best wing backs in Europe at the moment.
If not the best.
And he's doing a very good job at Benfica. So if Alvaro Fernandez is back, provides us with a lot more balance on that left-hand side. I think when it comes to the attack, I think it is much more straightforward. I think it's going to be Amads. I think Højlund will be preferred more over Xerxes as a striker. And on the left-hand side, I think it's going to be Garnacho for the starting phase. Maybe you see Rashford, but it's a good option to have. Rashford and Garnacho competing for the spot, because right now, I wouldn't say stats might say a lot for Garnacho or even Rashford this season, but both of them can be very expensive. Yeah, exactly.
With Garnacho at the moment, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the show. I'm just like, I love how you were saying, he's relentless before. He always works hard. He never gives up. Which I love that attitude, but then that attitude almost goes over to, I'll just keep shooting until I score. I'll just keep shooting, and sometimes you need to blend your game up, don't you? Chivy touched on this last night. He said it was almost like he took on the criticism, because last night he kept passing it, and sometimes it was like shoot. So you need to, as a youngster, you need to find that balance somewhere in the middle, just to make the right decisions. Like Saka is unbelievable at that. He'll always make the right pass. He'll always shoot when he needs to. And it'll take him a while to get to that. But I think that front three, arguably in Amorim's system, is the one I'm most confused with as who's going to go in there. Because I would imagine with Rasmus, you've got that Gyökeres more, aren't you? That you can maybe you can use him like that. But then the ones either side of him, will it be Mount? Will it be Bruno? Will it be Amads? Will it be...
It could be Mount, Bruno and Højlund. It could be Rashford, Bruno and Højlund. It could even be Xerxes, Amads and Højlund up top. Xerxes playing off as an inside forward. So
Do you think
there are
Xerxes
a lot.
would work in this? I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if he's...
Xerxes playing in behind the striker could work,
Mm,
but I don't think as an out and out number 9, I don't think Xerxes works in this system, because as simple as that, Amorim needs that striker who can make those runs in behind the striker. He wants a kill. He wants someone who can, actually feed off chances. When it comes to hold up play wise, a striker has to do a lot less under Amorim. If anyone has seen Gyökeres in the past 2 seasons, you can rarely see him holding up the ball and waiting for Gonçalves or Francisco Trincao making a run. Trincao and Gonçalves play him in, and within 3 seconds, the ball ends up in the back of the net. So I think our wingers need to switch up their game a lot.
Yeah.
They need to find Højlund. They need to play him in, because Højlund is probably I would say, most similar profile we've got when you compare it to Gyökeres.
Yeah.
So if you're not utilizing Højlund in this system, you won't be able to score goals. So and I think Xerxes is someone who might struggle. Xerxes is someone who genuinely might struggle in this system. I don't know how he's going to be utilized. If he's featured off as an inside forward, maybe he can, actually pull about something, because linking up play, he can still do a job. Yeah. But when it comes to that killer number 9, I don't know. And even with Mount played his best football in this system under Tuchel, a bit similar to it. So having Mount and Bruno for the first time as 2 10s in a system might work. So there are a lot of ways that Amorim can look it into, but I think the first 10 games will speak a lot.
I feel like he really lacks that kind of intensity and speed, Xerxes, when I watch him. And this is something that there's an analyst on X, which I'm sure you've seen, called H, who does stuff for the overlap. And this is something he said even before he came in. He's like, I don't think Xerxes is going to be fit for the Prem because of his intensity and speed, and he was absolutely spot on. I watch him now. I think, you've got all the technical ability in the world, and you can tell you're really good at it with at your feet, but he is very slow. He's really slow, and I don't know.
It was a Chelsea game where he got the ball pinged to him. Maybe it was Garnacho, maybe it was Casemiro, and he was basically in behind the defenders. He just had to run through, and all the Chelsea players were able to track him back while he was actually running with the ball. So that was a warning sign for me, because if you, as a 9, if you are not able to beat defenders when you've got a yard over them,
it's like wingers, isn't it? We said the same thing about Sancho. He's not quick enough. You can't get past him. So you have to then manipulate the ball. And even now at the moment, sometimes when it's being played into him, some of his passes, I remember the Fenerbahce game, I think it was.
Yeah.
They're just going everywhere, man. Like, they weren't even going near the player. His first touch was off. And maybe he's had a bit of a... maybe it's been a bit of a shock to the system since he's come to United. And he's thought, this is obviously a lot more difficult and a lot quicker than I thought. And it might be a bit of an adjustment period and he might be okay. But speaking purely for Amorim's system, I think Rasmus... what I would play in the front three would be Rasmus... Amad in that right forward position and Mount. That's the way I'd go, personally.
Yeah. And if not Mount, I would even put Bruno. Because
exactly.
For the first time, I would say, if you can put Bruno near the box and get him in those areas, then that's what he actually needs. He wants quick thinkers around the box. He doesn't want the ball being held up more than 3 to 4 seconds. And Bruno's probably the best we've got in that department.
I've just seen a stat on Rasmus, and we were talking about creativity there. You were literally just touching on it. Over the last year, Rasmus Højlund has averaged just 1.5 shots per game. That puts him in the bottom 2% of all strikers across Europe's top 5 leagues for shots taken. He also ranks in the bottom 6% for passes received. Creating chances for him is obviously going to be a priority in it. I think he has struggled with that, but I don't think he helps himself at times, Højlund, because like I said, I feel like with players like Ivan Toney or people like that, I feel like when you play the ball into him, it sticks. Or Lewandowski, let's say, for example, it sticks to him, and you can come, and then that attracts defenders, and then you can, do whatever. With Rasmus at the minute, I feel like it's bouncing off him. I think his first touch is not great at all. Sometimes he does it. I don't know if you remember the game it was. His link-up play was really good.
I think either it was Chelsea or it was Leicester.
Yeah, it might have been that. It was one of those two games.
Quite decent.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is what we need to see from him.
He was playing Garnacho in.
And then I feel like it's regressed a little bit. So it's going to happen. The raw players, they're young, aren't they? But I think Amorim, That's the front three I would go with. Now, we have to move on to conversation, Shreyas, because we've not really spoken about Luke Shaw yet. We've had some news about him today that he is back in training. Amorim staff will assess him from the November the 11th after returning back. Now, the narrative with this, Shreyas, is a lot of people are going to go, oh, well, you know, it's funny he's back now there's a new manager or there's an international break. I don't believe for 1 second that he's purposely doing it. I really don't. I just think he's been struggling with injuries. He's had a couple of setbacks. And you can I almost feel sorry for him a little bit because he obviously wants to play football. There isn't a player there who's purposely getting injured, is there? Do you know what I mean? So, but if he stays fit, which we don't believe he will, we know the crack with it. But if he does, he's a mega important player in his Shaw.
He is. And that's the sad truth that he's actually a very, very important player for us. When he is fit and when he is playing consistently for us, he's probably one of the best left backs in the league.
Yeah.
And he even, he fills a void in that centre back department on a lot of occasions as well. And when it comes to, our wingers have the best time. Our left-sided wingers have the best time whenever Luke Shaw is playing with them. So he does bring a lot of intensity. He does bring a lot of good things to the team. And I think it's the over-reliance on Luke Shaw that has actually killed us for major parts of last season and even this season, because we just don't have, right now, we don't have anyone who naturally comes into that, lateral left back who can come into that position and do as good of a job on a consistent basis without getting injured. So if he comes back, if he can stay fit for 4 to 5 months till by the end of next season, I think it's a good position for us. But still, I think whether it's January or whether it is the start of next season, I think left back is a big priority.
Yeah.
And right now, we've got a good crop when it comes to looking into left backs. You've got Kerkez, you've got Alvaro Fernandez, you've got Alfonso
Davis.
Yeah, a lot of names being popped around. You've got Anthony Robinson at Fulham who might be making a move as well. So there are a lot of options to choose from. So if United can act swiftly, which I'm sure that under this new management that we are in, we do have that capability of moving fast for players. We did that for Euro and a lot of other players too. So I just hope they make the right choice and get a right profile in before it's too late.
I put a poll up at the start of the show saying how long will Shaw stay fit for? 29% says 1 day, 29% says 1 week, 29% says 1 month, and 14% says 1 year. So people still
1 hour.
1 hour maybe should have been a thing that I put on there. But I like Shaw. I think he's really good. I think even when he came back for England, although he was only available for a couple of games, the ones that he wasn't there, it changed dramatically because Trippier was playing at left back. And Foden was on the left-hand side, and they were just isolated. There was nothing going on over on that side. And it's so important because as good as Mazraoui is, and as good as Dallow's been there sometimes, it's just not natural. It doesn't open the passing lanes, does it? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you could imagine having everyone in your back line, if he was all left-footed or all right-footed, everything would go in one direction. So I think it's a bit heavy on that side at the moment, but we'll see what happens with him. And if Amorim can somehow keep him fit, then I think as a wing back or even as a left centre back in a back five, I think he could do really well in. I think it'd be a good addition, but again, we can't get our hopes up, can we? Because it's just impossible with him. We never know what to expect. Moving on to reports about the managers. So a couple of bits about Erik ten Hag and Ruben Amorim and Ruud van Nistelrooy. The majority of Manchester United squad members respected former manager Erik ten Hag, but felt it was in everyone's best interest for a change. The United players have been impressed with Ruud van Nistelrooy during his stint as an interim coach. A well-placed source described his impact as excellent since he took over 11 days ago, having overseen 2 wins and a draw. What have you made of Ruud's interim kind of stint so far?
The results have been decent, but the football is the same. Absolutely the same.
Spot on that. I think I agree with that 1,000,000%.
I think if people think that,
you can't change too much though, can you? In fairness to him, Yeah,
exactly. Look, what matters to me is that he's putting a good position for us when it comes to, Amorim actually taking over for him. Because if Amorim is coming in and he looks at a past 3 games and he goes, 2 wins and a draw doesn't sound that bad. When one of those draws was against Chelsea, who are doing much, much better than us. So puts the team in a better position. I think his first game against Leicester, 5-2 is a good result. But we all know what type of Leicester team was put out against us in that game. So I think people got a little carried away with it. I think agree. Chelsea was a reality check where I wouldn't put as much blame on him because I think players were at are at a lot more fault when you look at the game as to why we dropped points. I think we would have come out with something in that game if our attackers were a bit smarter.
Were we the better team against Chelsea?
We had the better chances.
Were we the better team? Do you think?
Yeah.
I think maybe memory serves wrong, but I agree. I think the XG was better as well. I think the goal, if you look at the goal they scored, Caicedo volley outside the box. Yeah. It's not like,
in that game, I didn't see Chelsea threatening Onana way too much.
Yeah, not
which
significant.
I probably expected at the start of the game that maybe Enzo Fernandez makes a late run into the box. Maybe we see Nicholas Jackson actually testing Onana a lot, but it genuinely didn't happen. I think our defense was quite well placed in that game, and we just really didn't take our chances. And when it comes to being threatening, I think their backline actually had a lot more to do. Because when it comes to their Cucurella was totally destroyed in that game. Like Mazraoui was at him every single time that we were hitting them on the break. So we put them in a lot more stress than Chelsea actually put us, and it took a wonder strike from Caicedo to actually get them level, which was all credits to him. Caicedo had a wonderful game for them. I think was probably man of the match for Chelsea in that game.
Yeah, it was unreal.
But I think we were the better team in that game. And I think if our forwards were genuinely a bit more smarter on the ball when we were progressing, we could have come up with 3 points in that game. When you look at the game we had yesterday as well, was very flat in the second half as well. All credit goes to Amads on the second goal for sure.
Bruno was able to find.
Yeah,
it was just moments that won it.
Bruno being able to find Amads at the right time.
Pass, yeah, pass was good. But that's where you want him. You want him closer to the attackers. This is another thing that's frustrated the life out of me. He's best in that number 10 area. You don't want him at left back or right back doing defending.
Exactly.
I get you working hard for the team, but your main qualities, it'd be like if fucking Onana spent half the time in the 18-yard box. Now, obviously, that would be a much more significant impact because the goal, it'd be literally an open goal. But I'm just saying, play to your strengths. I think it's been very rare the past couple of years where we've seen him in that. And I think that's why he was so successful under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think there's two things with Bruno. I think there's giving him the captaincy. I think his performances have dipped a little bit because he's over trying a bit more, which sounds like a mad criticism. But I think that's one part of it. And then the second part, positional discipline at times just drives me up the fucking wall. Really does. And
just
like you said before,
to rotate the box.
If he can be in that front three as the 2-10s, I think you'll see a lot from him. I really do.
He's while playing bad, he still managed to put up 6 assists up until now. I don't know how.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, fuck knows. I don't know. But I've got hopes for him in Amorim's system. But let's see. On Amorim, United players excited about the imminent arrival. Dressing room sources say United squad members are impressed by Amorim's work at Sporting and now optimistic of having a successful season. With him coming in now, obviously I think we're 13th in the Premier League. We're now like 13th, 14th in the Europa League. We've advanced through in the Carabao Cup. We've obviously still got the FA Cup to come. Do you think Amorim be looking at this as like an opportunity? Like, how far, if it goes well, do you think he can take us? It's a weird situation to go into, isn't it?
I think he can take us deep into the stages of the Carabao Cup. I think he can also take us into the deep stages of the Europa League, because I think when it comes to the group stages, I think we'll still coast through one way or another. I don't know in which position, but we'll still manage to get into the knockouts. So Europa League is a good prospect. Carabao Cup is definitely a good prospect. And if we can get past Spurs, puts you directly into a semi-final. And apart from that, FA Cup, you just never know which way it is going to go. But I think the major emphasis would be genuinely be placed on the league and the Europa League, because Carabao Cup and FA Cup we've won in the past few years. I think when it comes to winning a trophy in Europe and when it comes to a league position, I think that's where he'll be judged a lot more.
But in Europe, though, do you not think the teams that are in there, like Spurs got beat last night, didn't they, against Galatasaray? I think Osman tore them apart. You've got Roma in there. But the quality of teams, like if Amorim actually gets them ticking and going, because obviously you don't have the teams dropping down from the Champions League now either.
Yeah.
United should be the favourites. But it's Spurs.
Roma are not a good team this season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going off like more big names, you know what I mean, that are in the tournament. Like, I get that.
You genuinely
Roma
just
or
got
us, basically. Big name, but just fucking playing shit.
Yeah, they're playing miserable. So,
Yeah.
you genuinely got Spurs. You got Galatasaray because Osimhen is doing a fine job in that squad of actually pulling them through. But those are probably the only competition that you probably got in that competition, and we should be doing a much better job because the teams that are in the top three right now, Lazio, Ajax, and Galatasaray. Ajax are not a good team.
No.
Lazio are not that great of a team. Galatasaray.
Imagine if Ten Hag goes back to Ajax, wins the Europa League with him.
Yeah, and the one surprise element I would say are just Eintracht Frankfurt because they've got a striker called Marmoush who's been going crazy. But it's not like quality-wise. I would genuinely say if this was Mourinho's team, he would be winning the Europa League with this team. So I think we should be doing a much better job because there's genuinely not a lot of competition.
Yeah, I think Amorim will be thinking the same thing. I think he'll be looking at this team and he'll be like, obviously it's really underperforming, but the quality that you've got, if you can, get Bruno back to his best, Casemiro seems like he's coming into a bit of form, get Ugarte up to speed, your midfield's pretty decent there. I know we've struggled with midfield issues, but on paper, you're pretty good. Then you go to that back five system. You integrate Yoro into the side. If Mount stays fit I just think you can get quality out of this team. I'm just fascinated to see how he does it and how he goes about it and what players are going in there and what young players he brings into the fold. I think, and finally we've got an international break because obviously it starts work in 3 days, right? On Monday. Where we can actually, talk about new tactics and, who he's a fan of and what he thinks and all these quotes from the manager. So it's actually going to be a nice international break for
once. First game is against which team, Amorim?
Ipswich on the 11th of November.
Good game.
Yeah, absolutely. But then December, I think you got Arsenal, City, and then Liverpool at the start of January. So the City return, obviously with sport in the narrative there.
Yeah, he knows. City.
He knows. Yeah. So, yeah, exciting times, man. Obviously, we've still got a game coming this weekend, Leicester on Sunday, which I think me and Sam are going to do the preview for that tonight. I'm also going to record the Premier League predictions because we missed it last week due to unforeseen circumstances. But we're going to do the game week 11 predictions. I'm going to go record that shortly. And then we've got loads of content over the weekend and stuff. So, as always, appreciate you in the chat, Brian, Lahil, Lou, and all you others who haven't commented, but I know you have been in there. People saying Shaw's done, big up everyone, and saying he'll be fit for England and then retire. Let's see what happens with him. I'm happy he's back. I just hope he stays fit. We've got Kazi Miaya saying he's fit all of a sudden. Yeah, I can see there's a similar narratives with a lot of the players, but let's we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, everyone who's tuned in. Smash like in the video for us before you leave. And we are 11 subscribers off 7,400. So if you are new, it takes 2 seconds, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Check us out on socials, which are on the tablet in the bottom right corner as well. And me and Shreyas will see you guys in the next one, yeah? Take it easy, people. Have a good